Hey, you first-timers. Making memories, aren't you? It's pretty amazing. And the history of our sport, the people of our sport. We spend so much time talking about the places, and they're so remarkable anywhere. I just always have the saying in my life that says, when you love snow, the places you can go. But the faces to those places are just so remarkable. And one of the greatest gifts that comes for me from skiing is the people that I get a chance to meet and make into friends. How their stories connect us, where they've been, what they've done. I remember my very first North American Snow Sports Journalists meeting. It was a trip to Sun Valley back in 1997, and the first woman I met at standing in line and registration. It was this remarkable woman from Vermont. The history she shared and how she could ski. I couldn't believe how she could ski. I was so impressed, and so was my husband, Rod. He really thought she was cute, too. Since then, we've shared many chairlift chats. And when I get off the phone from talking with her, when I give a call to Vermont, it's still amazing how our lives connect. And I have to share that my last call was on a Friday in February. And I happened to be chatting about her first question was how my son Ian, who's a professional snowboarder, was doing. And I said, he happens to be on his way to China. And normally Ian does a competition in Beijing, but this year the competition got changed to the Yilin Mountains and the White Cloud Resort in China. And she'd been there, and she had one hell of a story about being there. I'm not going to get into it now, but it's so crazy how I could be in Michigan, she could be in Vermont, and we could share that story. She has logged some of the most amazing experiences in her life's scrapbook. In fact, actually, just the other night, we were at the Von Trapp Lodge, and I asked, Gretchen, is there anything that scares you? And she couldn't even come up with an answer. And I think you'll see why when you meet Gretchen Besser.
Service and safety, the creed of the National Ski Patrol, now the largest winter rescue organization in the world. Gretchen Besser felt that same calling to help in 1969 when she and her husband Al were riding the Sterling chairlift at Smuggler's Notch and witnessed a young boy hurt down below. She remembers, my heart went out to the crying child. I wanted desperately to be able to help. From that passion to do more has come a career of service to skiing. While Gretchen now lives and skis in the mountains of Vermont, she was born a city girl raised in Brooklyn. She first put on skis as a junior at Wellesley for a slide down Observatory Hill, but didn't really take to the sport until a few years later when she borrowed skis from a cousin and went with a group from New York City to Bromley in Vermont. She remembers it was cold and she fell a lot, but she loved it, and still does. In fact, she's up before the sun several days a week to earn first tracks at Stowe's Dawn Patrol. A Fulbright scholar who studied French literature at the Sorbonne in Paris and then earned her PhD while teaching at Columbia, Gretchen speaks 5 languages, a valuable skill of the ski world. In fact, she went on an international ski patrol trip to Switzerland in 1975 when she started thinking, what can I give to the patrol in addition to teaching first aid and bringing people down the mountain? Calling on her writing talents, she proposed a book-length history of the patrol. The board agreed and named her National Historian, the organization's first, and the National Ski Patrol Samaritans of the Snow debuted in 1983. She wrote an updated version for the patrol's 75th anniversary in 2013, the same year she was inducted into the inaugural class of the National Ski Patrol Hall of Fame. In her role as an NSP historian, she moved the patrol's archives to the Denver Public Library and designed the museum at the national headquarters in Lakewood, Colorado. After all, who better to manage the history than a woman who has written hundreds of articles and feature stories for the National Ski Patrol magazine since 1976. Her passion for history also led her to be a founding board member of the International Skiing History Association, as well as a board member of the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame. Gretchen says skiing has been the perfect mix of her intellectual as well as her athletic life. Fluent in 5 languages, she has been an ambassador for skiing, traveling to 5 of the 7 continents. Among the world's major mountain chains, there's hardly a peak she hasn't seen from the top. In 1987, she was even part of the U.S. delegation to advise China on ski safety and developing areas like White Cloud and Jilin. She also served 2 years as a hostess in the VIP lounge, greeting racers and sponsors at both the World Cup and Winter Olympics in Lake Placid. Gretchen's scrapbook is filled with once-in-a-lifetime memories, among them some of skiing's highest awards. And now for her devoted service and commitment to sharing her stories, we include her lifetime achievements in the U.S. National Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame.
From Morrisville, Vermont, Dr. Gretchen Rous Besser. She's going to be escorted by fellow board member Tom Anderson, who also is a member of the National Ski Patrol, serving at Marquette Mountain. And her Medal of Honor will be presented by fellow Vermonter Billy Kidd. Dr. Gretchen Rous Besser, having been elected by representation of the 14 million skiers and snowboarders in America, we hereby bestow upon you in your beloved Stowe, Vermont, our country's highest snow sport award, the Medal of Honor, and confer upon you from this day forward, April 8th, 2017, induction into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame, where your accomplishments, ma'am, will forever be remembered.
I can barely believe that I'm here. I'm on my home turf. This is so unbelievable. And as I look out, I'm dazzled by the lights. I'm dazzled by the occasion. What I've prepared to say is absolutely unnecessary. Although I've spent my life teaching and writing, words fail me tonight. They really do. I can only talk about my feelings, which are joy and gratitude and happiness, elation, and great humility to be even having been considered to join this most wonderful and elite and inspiring group of people in the U.S. National Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame. Actually, for many years, I traveled to Ishpeming. I was on the board, but even before being on the board, I went up as a journalist. And so even prior to the erection of the beautiful museum, I was there and I saw generation after generation of inductees, never dreaming in my wildest imaginations that I might ever be one of you. And this is so very, very special to me. I'm grateful to so many of my friends and long-term colleagues, associates, members of the Stowe Dawn Patrol, people on the ski patrol on both sides of the mountains, Mount Mansfield and Smugglers, where I patrolled for a number of years, and everybody who has come out here tonight for me, but for also these amazing fellow members of the class of 2016, of which I'll always happily be a member. And we're in this building, which reminds me of a friend of Aisha who used to come to all of the Aisha meetings until, unfortunately, he passed away in December 2013. And for his master's thesis at MIT in 1957, he designed an octagonal building. This is octagonal, to reflect the octagon on the top of Mount Mansfield, which is such a landmark. And that was Henrik Bull. And this was the site for which he drew up plans for his master's thesis. And his company, his architectural company, went on to build this complex, and even the Adventure Center and many of the other places nearby. It's a night of real nostalgia for me as I remember the very wonderful friends who brought me here. The person who first proposed me for the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame was Bob Parker. Dear, dear friend. And I was seconded by Andy Meade Lawrence, who became a friend. I met her first at the Salute to American Women on Skis at the New England Ski Museum in 1991. And all my friends from NASJA and the ski journalists. And I'm just so happy to be here and so grateful to all of you and to a very wonderful physical therapy person who is here tonight, Heidi Noonan, who put me back together more than once so I could come out and ski first chair with the Dawn Patrol 3 or maybe 4 weekday mornings a week. And I think I took my last run maybe 2 weeks ago. So thank you. My family is here, my friends. I love you all.